Hello, gentlemen. Today, I'd like to give you an insight into what happened in the Capitol Hill uh, 2 days ago. As you know, this was the darkest day in the history of the most significant democratic state, which stands for liberty, fraternity, and freedom, and upholds the highest level of justice. This is deeply disturbing and really calls for wider condemnation in the strongest terms, because the way this whole dissent, in fact, was not a dissent, it was like an armed, angry mob of the supporters of the head of state, who dared to storm the Capitol Hill and clash with police. And those thugs, those who were actually incited by the almost mentally deranged president of the United States, who appears to be losing his sanity with passing of every single day. And God knows what is in the unfoldment until 28th, when the incumbent president Joe Biden swearing ceremony takes place. And as you know, that President Donald Trump has already declared that he's not going to attend that swearing-in ceremony, and his Twitter account has been suspended, not just for a day or two, but permanently. And that's really a significant event in the whole orchestrated drama. Why? Because you may be wondering that it doesn't make a huge difference whether the account is suspended or not. In fact, the Trump has the highest number of Twitter followers, reaching up to around 80 plus million followers. And he has been using this platform as the best mode of communication, and it's like a channel for him to convey his derogatory remarks or his statements about the policies that he has adopted, about his moves, about his principles, about his beliefs, and the kind of conviction that he follows. And since most of the mainstream media has never been so supportive of him because of his fraudulent behavior and his propaganda politics and his inconsistency regarding his statements, whether it's the foreign policy, whether it's the environmental issues, whether it's the scientific premises or disbeliefs about coronavirus conflagration and his wrong moves and his disillusionment with this corona crisis that has cost around 200,000 plus American precious lives. So his Twitter account suspension talks a lot about his failure, because he won't be able to garner the kind of support, the social media support he has been doing through Twitter account, instantly disseminating information, sometimes responsible, sometimes highly irresponsible, and flurry of objectionable tweets. He has faced this sort of slap before also by the company, but this time this is a clear-cut ruling, because the Twitter company policy clearly delineates bylaws, and you have to agree. In this case, only the difference lies in that this is account at the head of the state of the most powerful nation on earth. But despite that, the company didn't think twice before suspending his account, although he's still active on his official account, and he might use it to spread canard, spread the lies, and that he has been brazenly doing for so many months since this defeat in the election, and he has always refused to accept the verdict. And he openly announced in his address, inciting the mobs and the thugs to march towards the Capitol Hill, because he thinks that this election has been stolen because of the fraudulent voters, because of the kind of voting counts, and that's why he has been vociferously asking for either recount or repoll in certain states, Georgia, and even after recount, the outcome was the same, and thank God his whims and fancies didn't hold much water, and the democratic process was adopted. The counting of the vote was carried out, and right in the day when Joe Biden was to be certified as the next president to be sworn in on 20th January, this maniac, I would call him a maniac. In fact, so many, his medical history reflects that he is losing his sanity, and he hasn't been consistent in his policies, his decision making, and he has been thinking of endangering the nation and his security as well. In fact, the real danger lies in his staying the president for longer than what is anticipated now. In fact, he must quit, and he should be forcibly relinquished of his presidential job, because the impending danger is that supposedly he accidentally grabs the nuclear button, and he happens to take a nasty and sinister move in his disillusionment and his delusional psychic misdemeanor that might endanger the whole of the nation, and maybe many other nations at peril. The sooner this guy is absolved and is stripped from his position of the rule, that would be better for the nation. What is ironical and what is really really disconcerting and disheartening is that he hasn't come out openly in the condemnation of those Reuters, those angry mobsters, those who were actually branded traitors and who indulged in treason. And they should have been behind the bars by now. And there is a move already. The local agencies are running after them. Some of them have already been captured, especially the guy who posed in the chair of the Nancy Pelosi, and he took an official document. That guy has been stripped of his job and he's behind the bar, and the entire policeman is on the manhunt of those who were involved in that heinous crime of denigration and desecration and smashing the buildings, the windows, panes, and they were threatening the peace and security in and around the building, while this crazy president was passively stoking the fury. Instead of coming out in the open and using the social media platform or on television, asking them to retract or pull their agitation back. In fact, encourage them, embolden them, and kept on using his incendiary speeches in which he promised that he's going to be there, although he never reached that building himself. This also shows what a great hypocrite he is. He's such a timid, coward, and unfaithful president in the history of the United States that he will be recorded as a lunatic, the worst president that any democratic country has ever seen. And his move must be condemned in the strongest terms possible. He should be held accountable, and there should be an impeachment. He has already been impeached once, and he's going to be the only president to be impeached twice, probably. In fact, his own senators, supporters, they started attending the resignations, and have come out openly in his in favor of his ouster from the presidentship. And justice must prevail, because if he's allowed to run amok and behave so boisterously with his zeal, with his whims, with his maniacal overtures, this is definitely going to be even more intimidating in the couple of days that are left before the president takes over and takes control of the law and order situation. God forbids, if the Congress fails to impeach him, this guy must not be allowed to be a privy to the confidential documents he has been a party of, and he should be isolated, and he must be held accountable in all possible manners, so that he doesn't prove to be an impediment to the successful and smooth democratic functioning of the new government, which is definitely going to be all inclusive and is going to work towards bringing freedom and free will to all its citizens and legitimize the rights of all those people of color who have been subjugating under the call of white supremacy, and they have been discriminated against in the name of being a second rate or lower rung of the society, who gave away their lives for achieving the freedom and whose contribution can never be insignificant or underestimated in the entire process of struggle and gaining of independence. Hail democracy, hail the entire process of the democratic steps being undertaken through the legal franchisement and the convening of the Congress sessions to validate Joe Biden's real presidential tenure and his long-lasting win, which is definitely going to bring the entire nation to prosperity and the kind of greatness that Americans have always aspired for or dreamed about. My best wishes to the new president and his right moves in being cooperative, in being sagacious, in being composed in the event of all kinds of turbulence that has never been witnessed by USA in the last 200 years of its democratic history. The whole world is eyeing and is looking forward to getting normalcy restored, and all those who indulge in the security breaches, unprecedented US history, must be brought to book according to the penalty they deserve, according to the punishment they deserve. And this pandemonium, which appears to have deepened the divide among the whites and blacks, the people of color, must be stopped immediately. And those who are still on the wrong side of history should convince this maniac president to stop bragging and inciting violence and let the transition be peaceful without any intervention from any nefarious forces which he represents for the time being. He should stop urging his supporters in rejecting the presidential election. He still continues reiterating that although he is not convinced of the result, but he is ready to cooperate with the peaceful transition, and he has vowed not to attend the presidential ceremony. That also speaks volumes about his hypocritical and his non-cooperative outlook. This is really shameful. He's shaming himself. It's a despicable act that the previous president refuses to accept the validated, mandated president, and he's still crying foul against a democratic process that was taken up so diligently under the constitutional framework, and He endangered the life of the lady. In fact, a lady had to lay down her life, and all my sympathy goes to the bereaved soul, family members, and it's really unfortunate and must be condemned by one and all. The whole world is looking forward to seeing a safe and peaceful, conducive transition, and the American dream must come to its fruition in the real terms, and the nation must remain as it has been known so far. In fact, most of the democracies are always look forward to as a good precedence, because Americans have been upholding the virtuous tenets of the true freedom, the amendments, rights, the right to freedom, right to freedom of speech, right to freedom of one's identity, one's individuality, that helps every individual to actualize his own self without any intervention in the most secular fabric of the the one which is enshrined in our Indian constitution. And India, being the second largest democracy, also looks forward to being a part of the safe, conducive transition to the democratic process on the move. I'm simply saddened to see this unfortunate incidents unfolding in one of our biggest supporting countries, and I could see a flag which was a bit different from the rest, and that was not truly representative of India's democracy, in fact. So I abhor, I criticize, I in the strongest term possible, I'm dead against any such forces to be stoked, to take the mainstream society, and they must be at bay, and they shouldn't be given at all any kind of encouragement from any corner, be it in our country or in the United States. The biggest threat to any democracy is the stifling of its rightful voices expressed, its civil liberties crushed, its fundamental rights being eroded and infringed upon in the name of supremacy of one color on the other, or one caste or creed or religion on other. Since Indian Constitution is also made and promulgated on the same premise, on a secular basis, that it won't discriminate its citizens on the basis of caste, color or creed, and the government will not be a party to any sort of religious propagation or any kind of nefarious agendas promoted or encouraged by particular sections or infringe upon by fringe elements. That's what we're witnessing these days in our country as well. So it's a lesson to be learned from our nation builders, our nation rulers, our government, and thank God the situation has never come to such a pass. The last 6 decades of our freedom so far, and we have been doing fantastic job being one of the largest democracy, and we have been sending our representatives through adult franchise in the free and fair electioneering, and we have never witnessed such kind of grabbing the powers by wrongful means and wrong policies advocated, or any votaries of super eminence of one class and the other. And we have been doing fantastic job by according the best legitimate rights to each and every citizens. No doubt there have been certain lapses on occasions where there has been discrimination of a sort, but that has never been the government policy, and we have an apex body, judiciary, to oversee that. No government goes out of its domain or its constitutional prerogatives and sideline or infringe upon the basic rights of the individuals. So we have witnessed lots of demonstration protests. We have seen demonstrations in thousands and in hundreds of thousands, but always been peaceful. They haven't resorted to hooliganism. We have not witnessed thugs in such a large, huge number and trying to take over. It was like a coup d'etat. And overthrowing of the legitimate, so that's really deplorable. It's a despicable act, and only a timid, unprincipled man of weak heart, a man, unscrupulous president can resort to such mean tactics, and this really doesn't behove one of the champions of the democratic best governance that the world has seen so far. So my earnest appeal to those people who indulge in or ever harbor some kind of ill will against, this is the best form of governance that our policymakers, our thinkers, our philosophers, our planners, our best minds on earth have come up with, and let it be the best means of governance without some sort of impediments or stopping this cycle and turning it into a vicious cycle of violence and overthrowing of the legitimate government. I hope that whoever is listening to me, they will pay heed to what I'm trying to impress upon, and they will backtrack from the ill will, or they will join hands with the right forces to be on the right side of history, and this black day in the history of American democracy will be erased forever, and this will pave the way for bringing prosperity and the shining pole star to be emulated with the rest of the democratic countries, as half the world cherishes democratic governments, those even despotic rulers, and they're always trying to ape the ways of the democratic country, because here is a nation run by the people, for the people, and for the people, by the people, and of the people. Let this governance be of the people, not of certain people, certain mischievous elements, certain bigots, certain sections of society who are hell-bent upon jeopardizing the entire process of this smooth formation of the power and the transitioning of the entire governance to bring back the crumbling economy to its robustness, to bring back prosperity, to make amends for the crisis that we witnessed in the pandemic, and to provide job opportunities to all the unemployed, to bring radiance and smile to every aggrieved person who has been looking forward to 21, the new year, as a harbinger of hopes and dreams and good family well-being. Let me congratulate the new presidency, and let me pray to God to bless this cursed soul, and I'm praying for the redemption of President Trump's soul so that he remains sane and he vows not to repeat what he has done so far, and should also warmly greet the new president and help him acquire the new position, the president's position, and in fact should counsel him, should guide him, should orient him, should brief him, should familiarize him with all the tenets, all the secrets, all the gimmicks, all the regulations of the governments, because his job is not just to transfer the power, his job is also to facilitate the smooth functioning, smooth transfer, and see to it that our nation and the democracy prevails and all its principles are held intact without any further disturbance of any sort. Hail America, hail freedom. Let's make America great again, and the rest of the world to follow in the same footsteps. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.